The stars outside the viewport stretched like threads of light as the diplomatic cruiser Albatross drifted toward Celos Prime. Admiral Rhea Voss stood at the helm, hands clasped behind her back, gaze steady. She didn't blink much these days, not since the siege of Europa. "ETA 6 minutes, said Commander Hale from the console behind her. "The Council fleet has us boxed in." Of course they did. A show of force. Dozens of sleek alien dreadnoughts now orbited the Council's capital world. They weren't subtle about it. They didn't need to be. "Let them watch," Voss replied. "Let them wonder what we brought." Hale almost smirked, but didn't. Everyone aboard knew. They weren't bringing anything but words. The summons had arrived 3 days ago, encoded and absolute. Earth was to answer for violations of galactic law, stand before the Assembly, and submit to judgment. No room for debate. The wording reeked of verdict, not trial. Voss's fingers flexed slightly. "Judgment," they said. "Fine. Let them try." The council chamber was a monument to arrogance. Curved marble arches soared into impossible geometry, embedded with soft glowing veins of crystalline data flow. Dozens of representatives from across the galaxy occupied tiered platforms. The central dais remained empty, until Voss stepped into its circle of light. A whisper traveled through the chamber like wind through dry leaves. Some aliens leaned closer. Others simply watched, eyes unblinking, minds already made up. Voss's boots clicked once, twice, then stopped. She raised her head. "I stand for Earth." Her voice echoed far louder than the Council's translator pods allowed for. That was intentional. The silence broke. High Chancellor Veritzun appeared above her on the central platform, suspended in a levitating ring of gold and black alloy. His scaled face bore the rigid lines of someone who had forgotten how to smile centuries ago. "Admiral Voss," he said, drawing out the title like a stain, "you were not sent as a soldier. You were summoned as a servant of Earth's diplomacy." "Funny," Voss said. "The fleet shadowing my arrival told a different story." A murmur spread again, this time sharper. Zun's pupils narrowed to slits. "You are here under charges of planetary militarization, non-compliance with integration mandates, and harboring cloaked fleets in restricted sectors. Earth has violated no less than 7 articles of the Council Charter." "Earth never signed your charter," Voss said calmly. Zun's voice chilled. "But Earth is in this galaxy." "And?" she asked. That single word landed like a punch. The Karshek diplomat beside Zun shifted in his seat. A Wuron ambassador coughed. A nervous tic, not a biological need. Zun pressed forward. "You misunderstand your position, human. This is not a conversation. It is a declaration. Earth will comply. Immediately and entirely. Disband your fleet. Dismantle all non-sanctioned defenses. Submit control of your planetary systems to AI arbitration." "And if we don't?" Voss asked. Zun paused. "Then your species will witness what compliance looks like from beneath the ashes." So that was it. No veil. No sugar. From her inner sleeve, Voss retrieved a sleek hollow disk and activated it. A projection unfolded above her. Images of Council ships assembling in orbit around the Sol system, formation data, supply chain logistics, even decrypted fleet orders. Gasps rippled. "I see your idea of diplomacy involves a dagger behind the back," she said. "Those fleets are precautionary," Zun snapped. "In the event Earth's response proves unstable." "You mean defiant?" He didn't answer. Voss turned slowly, letting her gaze sweep across the alien faces surrounding her. "Let me speak clearly," she said. "Earth is not a child to be disciplined. We will not be ruled by algorithms we didn't build or laws we didn't write. We came here in peace, but make no mistake, if it's war you're after, you'll get something else." Zun leaned in. "Are you threatening the Council?" "No," Voss replied, her voice even. "I'm promising consequences." One of the reptilian delegates hissed. Another murmured to a neural aid. Zun gestured, and a holographic countdown appeared above the chamber. 10 galactic cycles. You have until then, he said. Refuse, and Earth will no longer be considered sovereign, it will be designated hostile and cleansed. Cleanse. Voss nodded once. She looked up at the great dome of the chamber, at the endless constellation of alien empires who believed their order was eternal. She smiled. Then I guess we'd better make our word count. Without waiting for permission, Voss turned and walked out. Aboard the Albatross, the command staff stood as she returned. Hale looked up. Ma'am. Start transmission to Earth, she said. Eyes only, secure channel. Tell Defense Command to begin silent escalation protocol. He blinked. Are we? We're not starting anything, she said. We're finishing the decision they made for us. He nodded and turned back to the controls. As the engines powered up, Voss stood once again at the helm, arms crossed, watching the alien warships that boxed them in. Beautiful, elegant, predictable, she whispered, just loud enough for herself. One word. Admiral Rhea Voss stood alone beneath the Council's looming judgment sphere, an ornate structure suspended above the chamber like a ceremonial noose. Its edges pulsed with data streams, recording her presence, cataloging every blink, breath, and syllable. Surveillance, masked as protocol. High Chancellor Veritzun presided from the elevated throne, his voice echoing through the chamber as if it were law itself. Earth has disregarded every warning. You expand militarily without oversight, exploit forbidden technologies, and now refuse lawful inspection. This body does not make threat. It delivers order. Voss didn't flinch. She studied the faces, no masks, of the council members. Each one wore an expression carved from the same mold: superiority, calm, certainty. All except the Elikari ambassador, Chiron, whose silver eyes followed her with unreadable intent. I'm listening, Voss said, voice clear. Say what you came to say. Veritzun lifted one clawed hand. A holographic seal unfolded midair, bearing the full weight of council authority. The chamber lights dimmed, drawing all focus to the decree. Effective immediately, Earth must 1. Decommission all unauthorized orbital and deep space weaponry. 2. Submit all communications and navigation systems to centralized AI regulation. 3. Dissolve independent command structures and military forces across all colonies. 4. Restructure terrestrial governance under Council-approved administration. Failure to comply within 10 cycles will be deemed an act of planetary rebellion. The words hung like a funeral dirge. Let's not pretend this is negotiation, Voss said. You've already decided Earth's fate. Earth decided when it refused unity, the Chancellor said. Your people remain dangerous, emotional, unpredictable. And you fear that. He leaned forward, yellow eyes narrowing. No. We correct it. The moment hit like frost. Around the chamber, murmurs rippled. Representatives traded silent glances, but no one rose. No one objected. Voss looked upward, past the vaulted ceiling and shimmering light, as if searching for stars she could no longer see. Earth has no intention of attacking anyone, she said, more to the room than to the Chancellor. But we have no intention of being ruled either. Zun tilted his head. You think you have a choice? No, Voss said. I know we do. He gestured to the guards. 2 massive Karshek warriors stepped toward her. Ritual, not enforcement. Even in this moment, the council clung to theater. Return to your world, Zun said. Tell your leaders to comply. If they do, Earth will be spared. And if we refuse? Voss asked. The Chancellor didn't smile. Then Earth will be remembered. Briefly. Back aboard the Albatross, Voss shut the command deck's pressure doors and activated the blackout protocol. Only her inner staff remained: Commander Hale, Tactical Officer Imani, and Operations Chief Renzo. Hale broke the silence. They actually said it. Full planetary compliance. Total AI control. They never intended to negotiate, Imani said. This was a verdict, dressed up in ceremony. They think we're bluffing, Renzo added. They think we're still what we showed them, Voss corrected. She activated a secure terminal, revealing a map of Sol's surrounding space. Dozens of Council warships were visible in deep orbit, an encirclement already in motion before she'd even spoken. They were preparing for war before we ever answered their summons, she continued. The terms were a farce. They've already written Earth's obituary. Hale frowned. Orders. Voss didn't answer immediately. She stared at the map. Then she tapped a command. A dormant protocol flashed on screen. Foxtrot 0. Locked behind triple encryption. She keyed it open. Renzo inhaled sharply. You're activating escalation? No, she said. I'm signaling it. This is their last chance to pull back. Do you really think they'll reconsider? Imani asked. No, Voss said. But history will know we offered peace. 10 hours later, she stood again before the council. This time, fewer spoke. Fewer watched. The show had ended. Now came the consequences. She walked into the center of the chamber, silent, letting them look. Let them see that humanity wasn't sending diplomats, wasn't offering groveling apologies or pledges of submission. They'd sent a soldier, calm, resolute, and dangerously patient. I've reviewed your demands, she said. Zun raised his chin, expectant. And Earth declines. A ripple. No one moved. No one spoke. Zun's voice was cold metal. You do not grasp the gravity of your decision. I do, she replied. And I assure you, Earth has never been more clear. You understand what this means? Voss stepped forward, just outside the projection ring. I understand that when a council threatens extermination as negotiation, it is no longer governing, it is conquering. Zun stood. That alone sent a wave through the chamber. Chancellors rarely stood. You are in error, Admiral Voss. Your species is an anomaly. This galaxy will correct itself. She met his gaze without hesitation. Then you've never studied us. Later, aboard the Albatross, Voss watched the planet Selos Prime shrink into the black. Hale stood beside her. That was it, wasn't it? Voss nodded. He hesitated, then asked quietly, What now? She turned to the stars, watching as the ship's sensors swept through the quiet dark, tracking enemy fleets, identifying hidden movements. Now, she said, we remind them that humans don't bow. And deep within Earth's secure command channels, a single word began echoing between black sites, buried satellites, and cloaked stations across known space. Proceed? The answer would come soon. Somewhere beneath the surface of Earth, in a chamber that didn't exist on any map, 7 people sat in silence. A circular table glowed faintly in the dim room. Above it, a single phrase pulsed in red across a holoscreen. Proceed. No titles. No names. Just roles. Earth's final council, not elected, but chosen. Veterans, engineers, strategists, and ghosts the world thought long buried. They weren't politicians. They were the contingency. One of them, an older woman with a jagged scar down her temple, leaned forward. Her voice was low, almost reverent. They gave us 10 cycles. They gave us nothing, the man across from her said, fingers steepled. This was always the outcome. A younger woman, eyes sharp, skin inked with satellite coordinates, added, Council fleets are already positioning around Mars and Titan. Preemptive alignment. If we wait, they strike first. Another voice, calm, analytical. Then we answer now. Before they believe we're hesitating. The room fell quiet again. Then, unanimously, silently, each of them reached toward the console and placed a palm on the surface. The red word flickered once, then vanished. Replaced by one word. Confirmed. Far above the curve of Earth's horizon, hidden in orbit beneath a synthetic distortion cloak, something massive stirred. Project Oracle. It was never a weapon by traditional measure. No kinetic payloads. No energy beams. No fleets of drones. Oracle was an answer. 6 kilometers in length, Its core comprised neural mesh fused with quantum predictive matrices, an artificial mind older than most Earth nations, awake only when summoned. It had been trained not on simulations, but on history, 5,000 years of war, deception, diplomacy, collapse, and survival. It had one purpose: to interpret, predict, and outmaneuver every possible enemy strategy before a trigger was ever pulled. Now, with activation confirmed, Oracle unfolded. Along its hull, deep space relays awakened. Codes pinged outward, riding gravitic backscatter to reach human assets across the system. On the dark side of Europa, hidden barracks blinked alive. In the asteroid belt, ships disguised as derelicts rotated toward launch trajectory. And on Earth, buried beneath the Andes, a vault opened with a hiss. Admiral Voss stood in the war room beneath Defense Command, deep within New Santiago Fortress. Her eyes moved rapidly across the cascade of incoming data. "All major nodes report synchronization," said Commander Hale. "Stealth fleets are repositioning. The Council doesn't know we've moved." "Tactical readiness?" Voss asked. "Orbital array is live. 3 rail platforms camouflaged in the Kuiper field have visual lock. No signals emitted. Passive-only scans. Enemy. Council warships have begun final staging. 9 dreadnoughts approaching Mars orbit. Civilian ships evacuated from Ceres and Europa. The rest aren't moving. They're waiting. Waiting for Earth to blink." Voss stared at the display, watching the storm gather. Then a side screen lit up. Encrypted. No header. Just a green pulse. One Voss had seen only once before. She accepted it. The face that appeared was blurred, audio distorted. "A precaution. We've received Oracle's projection," the voice said. 99.8% certainty they strike within 32 hours. "And casualties?" The voice didn't answer. "Understood," Voss said. "Are we green?" A pause. Then, "Yes." Voss ended the call. She turned to the room. "This is it. No hesitation. Transmit." Hale hesitated, blinking. "The word." "Yes," she said. "All channels. Military. Civilian. Galactic." He entered the code. A single message burst across space. "To the Council. To the outer colonies. To every listening station, drone, probe, and interceptor in the system." The word. Not a threat. Not a war cry. Just one syllable. "Run." The Council received it in stunned silence. Zun's advisors stared at the blinking translation as if it were a malfunction. Chiron, the Elikari ambassador, tilted her head. "That's it?" she asked. Zun's expression twisted. "Is this some kind of joke?" Then one of the aides stumbled forward, voice shaking. "Sensors have picked up high-frequency emissions in over 30 unmonitored band. Quantum relay disruption. Atmospheric phase interference. There." He stopped. Zun stepped closer. "They're what?" "Every stealth frequency we use. Earth is jamming them. Not disrupting. Overriding." The Waron delegate snapped his fingers, activating a tactical readout. "That's impossible. Their tech is centuries behind ours." "No," Chiron said softly, voice unreadable. "It isn't." Zun's eyes narrowed. "Explain." "They've been hiding. Playing harmless. Letting us believe we'd won before the game started. And this message, this word, what does it mean?" She met his gaze. "It means run." Near Neptune's orbit, a Council patrol ship blinked out of existence. No impact. No energy spike. Just gone. Farther inward, a data relay station on Io went dark. Seconds later, a Council comms cruiser exploded, its internal systems turned against itself by a virus that hadn't existed until 5 minutes ago. Each event isolated. Deniable. But unmistakable. Someone, something, was ahead of them. And Earth hadn't fired a single shot. Voss watched the tactical feed update. Hale whispered, "They're scared." "Good," she said. "They should be." He turned toward her. "So what's next?" She looked up, voice steady, cold as deep vacuum. Now we show them what humanity really is. Space was silent, but Earth's answer rang across the system. In the outer reaches near Pluto, a mining station, previously a hollow shell, suddenly flared to life. Power signatures surged. The rock beneath peeled open, revealing launch silos. From its depths, dozens of black-bodied crafts ignited, disappearing into the void. Each one bore no insignia, no designation. Ghosts. At the same time, listening posts across Council territory began reporting impossible things. Encrypted transmissions from locations thought uninhabitable, signals bouncing off dead satellites, pulses with Earth's unique quantum signature arriving before they were sent. Back on Earth, inside the Albatross, Admiral Voss stood before a wall of holographic intelligence. One feed showed the Council's main fleet locked in a defensive wedge outside Mars. Another showed Council media channels, eerily silent. No propaganda, no boast, just fear. Commander Hale broke the silence. They're requesting dialogue. Voss turned slightly. Council? He nodded. Secondary channel. Indirect. Probably to avoid admitting it's real. She stepped forward. Patch it through. A shimmering hologram formed. Not Zun, not any formal face of the Council. Just the liaison drone. Neutral. Cold. Safe. Its artificial voice spoke without inflection. Clarify Earth's position. Voss stepped into frame, face lit by quiet fury. You issued demands. Threatened annihilation. And now you ask for clarity. The drone didn't react. Your signal was ambiguous. She leaned in slightly. It wasn't a signal. It was a promise. The drone hesitated, a flicker. Specify terms. You leave our skies, our colonies, our system, permanently. That is unreasonable. That is non-negotiable. Council protocol does not permit. Voss cut in. You don't control the conversation anymore. This is your first and last offer. The feed ended. No reply. No confirmation. Just silence. Elsewhere, the hidden arm of Earth's defense moved. Operation Acheron. On the edge of Alpha Centauri's fringe, a dormant relay station activated, one built inside a derelict moon centuries ago. It hadn't broadcast in 150 years. Until now. A single burst lit the void. The Council fleet near Vega, a force detached from the main armada, received it seconds later. At first, they dismissed it as ancient junk, until their shipboard systems began failing. Not catastrophically, but subtly. Drift by drift, their formations collapsed. Their navigational AI reported false distances. Their fire control looped target. By the time they realized it wasn't malfunction, but manipulation, it was too late. Earth had rewritten their systems from the inside. Not with brute force, but with finesse. In one command packet, Earth had turned a third of their fleet into blind, limping machines. No explosions. No noise. Only power. Voss watched the board light up. Renzo, the operations chief, chuckled softly. You'd think they'd have seen it coming. They saw what we wanted them to see, Voss said. Imani added, Council analysts always assumed our tech cap was 60 years behind. They were right, Voss said, turning toward her. Public tech. Civilian. Commercial. But defense. Hale said. She nodded. 300 years ahead. In the Council chamber, Zun raged. How did this happen? We watched them. We monitored every channel. The aides said nothing. Chiron, calm as always, tilted her head toward the tactical map now littered with blinking red failures. They learned to play prey very well, she said. Too well. He slammed a fist onto the console. Then end it. Deploy the Sunfire protocol. Glass their homeworld if needed. Chiron didn't blink. And if we fail? Zun froze. She stood, walked toward the outer viewport, and stared at the stars beyond. They haven't fired a single official shot, she said. They've taken down 2 fleets, locked out our networks, jammed half our intelligence web, without war. He said nothing. They gave us a word. That was their declaration. And I think they mean to show what comes after. Deep in the Pacific Trench, a craft no one knew existed began to rise. Leviathan 01. 3 times the size of any known warship. A fusion of organic alloys, zero-point energy cores, and a neural command system bonded to a human mind. It was Earth's final deterrent. As it breached the ocean, invisible to satellite and sonar alike, it aligned its onboard AI with Oracle. Above, clouds swirled unnaturally. A false weather system designed to hide its emergence. Below, Earth's central command lit up with one final coded message. Ready. Voss received the alert on her personal console. She took a breath. Send one final transmission to the Council, she said. What should it say? Imani asked. Voss looked directly at the camera feed. No more words. As the message pulsed into the void, across Council space, human agents activated their final protocols. Not sabotage. Not hacking. Something quieter. Every assumption the Council made, about Earth's capabilities, its limitations, its mindset, was now a liability. Files decrypted themselves in Council archives. Old treaties resurfaced, ones that predated Council law. And everywhere, the same subtle shift rippled. Fear. Not of destruction, but of what Earth knew. What it had waited to reveal. The Council had always treated humans like children. Now they saw the truth. Humanity wasn't evolving. It had already evolved. It had just never needed to show it, until now. The Council's fleet had already begun its retreat when the Albatross entered Mars' orbit. Voss stood at the bridge, eyes scanning the tactical display. The main fleet had turned their backs on Earth's system, fleeing toward the uncharted reaches of the galaxy. Only remnants remained, desperate, fractured groups clinging to old orders, hoping to escape the wrath they'd underestimated. But they were too late. We've secured the perimeter, Hale reported, his tone almost surprised. Every ship that left Mars has been tracked. The rest are either immobilized or surrendering. Not good enough, Voss replied. She stood straighter, eyes narrowing as she watched the enemy ships. We need to make sure this never happens again. On the opposite side of the room, Renzo swiveled in his chair. Admiral, I'm not sure they'll ever recover from this. They won't, she said. Not like they think. The Council had underestimated humanity, assuming it was just another player in their game, another species to subjugate and dominate. They hadn't accounted for the human will to endure, to adapt. And they certainly hadn't anticipated that Earth, for all its faults, was capable of becoming something far more dangerous than any of them imagined, an unknown variable with no predictability, no pattern, no limit. They're broken, Imani said, her voice edged with a strange satisfaction. They're retreating into the deep space, trying to regroup. But they're fractured. Their military cohesion is shattered. Good, Voss replied. Let them scatter. We've already won. The Council's final transmission came hours later, direct from Zun. The hologram of the High Chancellor flickered, a mere shadow of the figure he once was. His posture was broken, his robes now askew, his eyes filled with a mix of fear and bitterness. You have no idea what you've done, Zun spat. You have no idea what's coming for you. Voss leaned forward. You think this is over. You believe we've won a battle. But you're wrong. Zun's hologram faltered. He had no words. The truth is, Voss continued, you didn't just attack Earth. You attacked everything. You attacked the human spirit. And we don't kneel. Not anymore. Not to you. Not to anyone. Zun's image blinked once more, his eyes glinting with rage. You've triggered something far beyond your comprehension. The Council won't stop. We will rebuild. We will return. Voss smiled, a sharp, cold expression. If you can. The communication cut, leaving nothing but static. Prepare for incoming data streams from Earth, Voss ordered. And ready the fleets for final action. This is only the beginning. The next day, Earth watched as the news channels across the globe flashed with reports. The Council had withdrawn, leaving Mars' orbit in chaos. Several neutral systems had already begun broadcasting their solidarity with Earth, offering support, their fleets positioning themselves in solidarity. Humanity's name, once whispered in the shadows, was now on the lips of every alien species that had dared to cross the galaxy. And the world stood on the precipice of an unknown future. But this was no longer the uncertain, fragmented planet of old. This was something entirely different. Something more. In a remote chamber beneath the mountains of Chile, the human command structure continued to operate, now connected to the global network of free worlds, built upon the ashes of their former weakness. The Council's hold on humanity was no more than a distant nightmare, and it was fading with each passing hour. Voss stood at the heart of this new order, the weight of responsibility heavy on her shoulders. Hale approached her, the glow of new intelligence reflecting in his eyes. "They're reporting from the outer colonies. A few factions still refuse to acknowledge Earth's victory, but they're crumbling. Don't let them breathe," she said, turning back to the screen. "We do not allow them to regroup." "There's more," Hale added, glancing over the newly received reports. "It looks like we've underestimated a few allies of ours. There are several factions, small, hidden deep in Council territory, that have already begun coordinating with us. They're offering their ships and technology." Voss nodded, not surprised. There were always those who watched from the shadows, waiting for the right moment to act. "Good," she said. "Prepare the negotiation team. We need to solidify our alliances before they can regroup. And when they do come back." Her voice trailed off, but the implication was clear. They would come back. But next time, Earth would be ready. Across the system, beyond the reach of Earth's new dominion, the Council's shattered remnants were already beginning to plan their revenge. But this time, things were different. This time, Earth's victory wasn't just a battle won, it was a message. A signal. A declaration. There would be no more diplomatic games. No more threats. No more undermining. Humanity had learned its lesson, and the galaxy would feel the consequences. As the Albatross moved toward the edge of the solar system, where the void stretched beyond the stars and the Council's remnants lingered, Voss looked out across the expanse. The last remnants of the Council's power were crumbling, their once imposing fleets reduced to debris. But there were no celebrations, no cheers. "Admiral," Hale said, breaking her concentration. "What's our next move?" Voss turned, her face serious, but the fire in her eyes had never been brighter. "Our next move? We build. And we prepare. The galaxy has underestimated humanity once. It won't make that mistake again." She stood taller, the weight of leadership settling on her shoulders like an old, familiar cloak. "Make sure every ship is ready. And every fleet prepared. We've just started showing them what we're capable of." In the darkness of space, as Earth's defenses went silent, the words echoed in the minds of every creature watching, listening, and waiting. Humanity was no longer prey. Humanity had become the hunter. The galaxy would learn to fear the one word it had overlooked: Earth.